Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since my last live session, but I thought today is a good day to present something new, and I have been working quite a lot on my iOS app called Surface, and I want to present you the new features on it, and also I want to show you a bit about new features for the light shader plugin library for Maya, Arnold and all that stuff. And after that I will do a short scene setup where I prepare the crystal scene, which you can see currently displayed. So there will be a few things going on today, and yeah, so I'm just waiting a few more minutes before we start. Obviously you can check it out afterwards on my channel, but it's always nice to have a few more people around to get going. So I'm just preparing it a bit more on my other monitor, so you don't really see what I'm doing. But you can see some people already say hello in the chat. Welcome everyone, thanks for joining in. It's always nice to have people around. Let's go here. I'm just preparing a few more things. Okay, that is going open. And after all that, I will also do a Q&A. So if you have any urgent questions or whatever questions, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to help you out as well. So let's see where we're going here. Yeah, it has been a while. I have been working on the Surface app to support ARKit, which took me quite a bit, and also I spent some time to understand or work with the Arnold, like JavaScript, to create an a Android version for a Surface. So I'm actually working on this myself now. It's tricky, honestly, coming from iOS to swap over to Java. It's a bit tricky, different APIs and all that. So it will take me a while to get a presentable Android version. Again, Arnold is in my head. Crazy. Right, so let's see where we're going. So we have 34 people watching. Amazing. It's a lot. Okay, excited. While I'm working, so nice to learn more about 3D. Do you think you do Render Man? I'm actually, yeah, I'm thinking of doing Render Man stuff. It's just, there's so much, there's such a steep learning curve with Render Man, similar to Arnold obviously, but I would need to spend a lot more time to get this up and running. Okay, I think we have enough viewers now. I'll just jump in. So let's do it. So let's just switch it over. So I will be starting with the Surface stuff, and I hope you're excited to see that. You can also download the app directly. I will show you that first. So let's just switch it to my device. Let's see if it all works. Okay, so I hope you should see my home screen now. All right, so the first thing is you go to the App Store, I guess, which I've prepared. And if you don't have it just yet, you can easily download it. It's for free. It's called Surface 2.0 because of the new update. It's only for iOS so far, so keep that in mind. So you see this in the App Store. Download it. You have a few in-app purchases to get nicer models. Obviously, there needs to be some revenue for me because of all my work. But there are free options for sure. So let me just launch it open. So this is now the interface. I revamped it a bit, so there are a few more things now. Is it cut off a bit? Feels like it. No, it might just be the UI. Okay, so you have now dark mode, you have a list view, and you can change day mode as well. So all that stuff is working pretty nicely. And the idea is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the app, but the idea is to have different properties which you can drive directly into the shader and get, for instance, a gold look for this. So I can actually demo that in a bit. Let me just set it all up here. So let's minimize this, go over here. So if I move quickly over to Maya right there, you can see there is already a crystal for the tutorial I'm working on. And if I would change, let me just see if I can do it quickly. So I just want to show you quickly how you would set it up. AI surface, standard surface shader, and assign this bad boy. Come on. All right, so let's just check my render settings quickly. Okay, it's all good. Have res. Okay, so there is my little crystal. And if I go into the shader now, I hope it's all nicely invisible. I would first change my mode to be a metallic shader, so that's what it is currently. And all you gotta do to get this working is change the base color to a value within the Surface app. So if I open up this, you can see these are my values there. So let's say I want to create Chrome. You can tap on it and then you just type in the values. If you switch to RGB mode there, 0 to 1, so you would do 0.973 for the red channel. For the green, you would enter 0.675, and for blue you would do 0.56. So this would be my copper base color, and obviously these are measured values, so this would be the color of pure copper. And obviously it's very bright now, but it's super clean, so there's no breakup and all that. So this would be the metal in its purest form. So this is how you would set it up. Okay, so that was all I wanted to show you for now. Okay, so going back into the app, you have the reference curves, you got some reference images as well, which is pretty nice. And then you have, let's just stop this. Okay, it is stopped. And then you have the new addition, which is the AR button, which you can see there. And also if I switch back to list view, you get this AR button in the top left corner of each tab. So let's say we want to present brass, then we click on the AR button. And then we should see it on my camera. So this is now my camera. You see my keyboard. So for this to work, I need to move back a bit. And so now you can see my monitor, the keyboard. It's adjusting the picker there. And let's say I just want to place the dragon here. And then you can see it's nicely in the UI, in the window, and I can actually rotate it. I can change my roughness. So if I would go to the head, I can adjust it. You can see it's more shiny, it's more rough. So you can actually go on a film set or wherever you want to test it. And if you want to see how your object looks like, you can just easily do that right there. And if you load in, let's say I load a Stormtrooper, you can see how good it works. It's pretty smooth actually, a very cool experience. And I also preloaded some HDRs, so you can actually switch different environments in here. You can have an outdoor one, which is more blue, and because it's brass, it looks kind of green. But yeah, and you can also load in your custom one if you click that library, but it needs to be a 360 image, so any normal photo won't work. It needs to be a 360 image for this to work. And then the free one is the surface ball, which is a big reference shader. And you can see how it looks. So it's pretty cool. If you want to test it out, please go ahead and do so. I would highly appreciate it to get some feedback on this. Yeah, and obviously you can do it for all the other shaders. You can go into the AR view and check all that stuff out. All right, I think this is kind of everything I wanted to say for that. Let's just see how this works here. Okay. So I think this should show everything, and the roadmap is to create an Android version pretty soon, and then maybe also write up a community page and a community thing where people can share their stuff. Okay, I'm just reading the comments quickly. MoGraph paid, I'm not sure about that. There needs to be a login page. So if you don't get the login page, something is definitely not working. So if I would do here log out, I'm presented with a login screen. So obviously you would need to enter your valid email address. Enter that here, and then you get an email. You click on that link in the email and you get redirected to the app, and then you are signed in successfully. So that's the only way how it would work, because it needs a sign in to access all the database and all that stuff. Okay, but this should be enough for Surface. So let's just hide this guy. So no more Surface stuff. And then we will jump into Katana for a short while. So I'm just setting it up. So okay, alrighty. So let's do the Katana stuff. So Harud from Light Shaders, there's like a Slack group, and Harud is there as well, and he is actively working in Katana. So what he did, he wrote some nice addition to the light shader drop down menus for Katana, which is very amazing. So I want just to show you quickly what that stuff is doing. So did this not render? Let's just check quickly if it renders. So this is the Katana UI, by the way. Render. AOVs are there. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it fails maybe. Doesn't like this HDR. Let's try this. So let's see what's going on. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I know that the live stream is still active. Currently it's very quiet, so I'm not sure if everyone is there. Let's do this. Anyway, so what he did, so he wrote a few plugins, super tools, and macros, which are very helpful. You can get them in the tabs light shader menu, and then there's actually a material library where you can easily... The sound in the video is not working. And what video? I'm not sure what he's talking about. Anyways, there's a material library where you can just easily drop in stuff, and he wrote it for Renderman and Arnold, so it's getting bigger and bigger, which is amazing. And so you can drop in the stuff in here or double click them, and it creates you the KLFs. So that's pretty amazing. That's the one thing. So here's a red plastic now. So you can just load this in, assign this material to your objects, and it renders. Pretty cool. And then he also has the TX manager where you can just convert all your textures into TX files. Also nice. He ported that functionality from, I guess, from M2A to K2A, which is pretty helpful. And then the cool things is, which he wrote, it's AOV creator. So previously... Oh, Harud is there. There he is. There's the man. Let's see. Can I do something? Producer, add moderator. Well, Harud is there. So he actually wrote that stuff. Amazing. Thanks for showing up. So previously, how I did it, I had an AOV setup, and I had to do all the AOVs manually. So I am creating Arnold output channel define and do then the light path expressions down here. And this is like a tedious process if you want to have lots of AOVs. So what he did, he created a super tool called Arnold AOVs. And there's like _ls. So if you want to get all the light shader plugins, you hit just tab, hit star and ls, and you get most of the stuff. So there's the one and there's the other one. And then you just easily just select the stuff you want, click it over. It's similar experience like the M2A one, and you've got your stuff there. You can create custom ones as well. Select this, you can add your own LPE right there. So it's very helpful. You just plug it in and it just works. Pretty amazing. And then there's light control, where you can easily just adjust several light attributes at once. So you choose your renderer to be Arnold, then you can load in all the light paths in here. So you would go paths, put in all this stuff, and then you can just do a random color, random exposure. You can transform them randomly. So it's very helpful if you want to have a large scale scenes and you just want to, yeah, create some noise, I guess, light noise or whatever. Transform noise is pretty helpful. And there's also a few more things, I think. Oh, did that drop out? That's no problem. Okay. Let's see what else there is. There was other macro, I think. Missing something? I think I'm missing anything. Yeah, anyway, so this would be the new addition to Katana. So Katana is getting updated with Light Shader as well, thanks to Arvid. Really appreciate the effort on that end. Thank you very much. Alrighty. What else? I'm just thinking if I'm missing something. Render. Okay, anyways, I think that would be the for Katana side. So I also talked about the Katana and ZBrush. And so what I'm actually doing in the crystal tutorials, currently they are pretty low res, which I mean not low res, but they don't have any subdivisions on them. So they are pretty simple, and it's hard to create good looking stuff with this basic geometry. So what I tend to do is I push them out in ZBrush, and I just break up the edges, and then I work with a pretty high res version of that. And I can show you what that looks like if I import it, if I import the high res version of this. Oh yeah, also, yeah, exactly. And Arvid is also working on Nuke implementation, so he's porting some stuff from his libraries into the Light Shader libraries, so we can actually have something amazing in Nuke as well. So we're trying to build up the library to be supported for most of the bigger DCCs. So if you want to contribute, please get in touch with me and we can set something up. So you can write in the Bitbucket repo and we can get something going for sure. So let's just go up one directory, scans, and to ZBrush, to Maya. Let's see what this one is. So this should be a higher geometry, which where I worked on in ZBrush. You can see it's very dense, but you can see I broke up the edges and all this stuff. So I might end up doing this as well for the tutorial, because I want to work with volume shading, and for volume shading you would need to have one object. And if I use how the geometry is originally, it's several crystal pieces, the volume shader does not like that a lot. So I will be sculpting it a bit, breaking up the edges in ZBrush and working with the high-res geometry. And how it would look like is I would just export this to an Alembic, to an OBJ, I guess. Export selection. Now I'm just going to the live setup quickly. It's right there. Let's just call this simple crystal. And again, I wouldn't call myself a ZBrush artist. I know how to work with the tool a bit, but that's it. So yeah, I can just show you how I'm doing it. ZBrush is loading up. I hope. We'll see. There we go. Close the light box. So I just load the tool, or I load the I import the tool like so. Symmetric triangles. Okay, so here's a crystal, right? So pretty basic stuff. What I tend to do is I go and document new, because I just want to resize it properly. So here it is again. And then the first thing I do is, you can see the polys are very low, so I go to geometry and I go Dynamesh, and I go a bit nuts with the values just to get some nice detail in it. Let's go up here. We don't want any blur. Let's just hit Dynamesh. So now you can see it adds lots of subdivisions to this bad boy. And if I switch over to my webcam tablet, I can just easily go to the, let's just change this. I can easily go to the trim dynamics or whatever, and I can just break up the stuff. Like if I want to have more details on the edges, I can just do this and really just go crazy on it. And this is actually what I did. I just used an alpha map as well. I think I used some scratches. Did I use this one? Yeah, I think I just used this brush there. And I was just breaking up everything to not make it so perfect everywhere, because a crystal is scratch and it has dents, so it's pretty easy to get something working pretty quickly. And just by adding this little details everywhere, it adds a lot to your final render. So just by breaking all this crap up like that, this is there. You see, it already looks a lot nicer, I guess, in my opinion. But that's up to you to decide, I guess. Up here. So again, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I have a next gen tutorial, which is the tiger fur one. I also have some mushroom ones where I'm actually placing scans, like high-res scans, and populating an environment. They are all on my channel if you want to check that out. Okay, so you can see there's some weird faceting going on, so I'm just removing the alpha brush and I'm just cleaning this stuff up. So to make this a bit smoother here, just doing that and that. Same as here. Obviously this is not perfect. I'm rushing it quite a bit, so for the tutorial itself I will spend more time on this. But yeah, so this is the difference. So if I would now export this again, obviously it's a bit high res, but I think Arnold for sure handles this. So this is to Maya crystal. So this is now exported. It does not have any UV, so I'm actually working with the high res stuff. It's just easier for me to do it honestly. So okay, this is the old one. So I'm just going file import to Maya crystal obj. So it's right on top, and if I hide this one, this is now the high-res version, and it looks a lot better. So if I assign, let's just do this, assign this shader, and you can see it's nice and scratched up now. Hit render. So now you can already see, just by doing this, the copper already looks a lot nicer, just because there's something to refract and not refract, but reflect. So it's pretty cool. Lots of things. Oh, by the way, if you want to work with light shader as well, I forgot, I maybe should have shown you this. You go to, you type in lightshader.de, you jump right there, and pretty simple. You can just go to download page, and you can actually see the release notes. So this is all done by Harut here. You can just click on this link directly to get over to light shader page, or you can go to the Bitbucket repo and you can see all the other versions. So for the new release we have 42 downloads. The previous one had 888, which is quite a lot. So feel free to do that. You can see all the commit messages right there, what's going on. You can directly access the source code if you need to. So you can see we are trying to support Maya and Katana. And if you want to contribute, if you know Python, please get in touch. You can easily just add to this, and we can make Glide Shader a lot bigger with this. So it's pretty helpful. Yeah. So again, for the Surface tool app, you can just type in any value in here. In this color, and actually let's see if I can quickly just bring it back up. If I can just connect this again, let's see if it works. Let's see, this is now my AirPlay. It's kind of connected, it says. Not sure why it doesn't work. I think now I broke it. Well, I just wanted to show you can also plug in the edge color there. Let's just close this. I'm just trying to reopen it. Open 5K. I think I just need to reconnect from my device. So screen mirror on. There we go. So that was easy. So let's do Eve on. Okay, so that's connected. So what I wanted to show you is you can also go to, oh no, I need to sign in. Oh, all this crap. Sorry about that. Let me just do this quickly. So signing in process. So I get an email now. Let's see if it shows up. There it is. Tapping the email. And then sign into the database. And then I should hopefully be signed in. There's an introduction message, enable push, enable camera, let's go. And so in the Chrome, for instance, there's the edge color. So for Arnold, you would use base color and edge color. And if you want to add edge color as well, you would do it in the specular color. So this would be then the 0.9. So I'm just doing something similar here now. I'm just not entering the right values. But it should be similar, and this gives you a colored edge spec as well. So the edge color is mostly just a bit more desaturated, so I'm just desaturating it a tiny bit more, and we should be good to go. And obviously you can introduce bump map, spray cap, and all that fancy stuff to get a pretty cool looking Chrome shader. So yeah, that was all I wanted to show you still. So let's see the questions. I haven't seen the Clarice build. I've heard about it, but I haven't checked it out yet. It must be good though if people start talking about it already. Righty. So for the crystal tutorial, I can just give you a quick intro what I'm be working on. So this would be now the setup like this, and obviously it will be glass. I won't be using scattering this time. But I will also be using VDBs, which is very interesting because not a lot of you guys, I think, know about this technique where you can actually convert any geometry into a VDB or into a volume object. So I can actually quickly go to volume, do a step size of maybe 0.1, maybe like this. And I could instead assign a AI standard volume shader to this. So now if I think I'll relaunch it, we should get some smoke. There you go. So this is now a volume shader, and using this technique I can actually add some very interesting detail to the glass crystal. So I can have several layers and I can build it up and I can make some really fancy stuff. And I just want to show you how this, like a quick introduction of what it could look like. So I'm just pushing this into the displacement slot in the volume shader, which is right there. So I'm just dragging this there out, color goes there, and this goes into displacement, and there you go. You can already see now I'm displacing the volume. And obviously you can add more detail like this. It's not forceptive. Let's just restart this. Sometimes the volumes don't pick up all the detail stuff. If you want to add distortion, and you can still see it's not really nicely detailed. So what you can do, you can go to the shape of the volume, and let's just select it here, and you can reduce the step size even further and you get way more detail. So I just need to update, and you can see it's already a lot more detailed. And if you want to add more noise, you can scale this guys up. Let's say 5 maybe. So we get smaller details everywhere. You can see the noise is now really fine. And you can plug in something to density and all that to get a really nice looking shader. So this will be one of the techniques I will be showcasing. Density, let's go up. So now you can see it, you can actually make it really solid as well. So this would be now a pretty solid shader, and you can play with densities, as I said, and you can work with this and to create something really exciting. So if I go back to disabling this guy, no step size, and I'm assigning the previous shader again. And for the glass, what I'll be working with is with a few things. So one would be transmission, obviously. So I will not have metal on, so I am increasing transmission to get something like this. Make sure opaque is off. And then I will be working with the depth. So depth needs a color. So let's say we want to create a red ruby or whatever. A bit less saturation, I guess, something like this. And then you can just play with the depth. So the lower the depth value, the thicker the object is. It's kind of like a scattering shader. So I will gradually increase the depth so we can get just a glimpse of the red like that. So this would be a pretty clear ruby or whatever. And then you can introduce some scatter, which is some fog. So you can go crazy on this one. Let's say a fog of 5, and just by using all these values you can create a very interesting result. And if you then combine all this stuff with some maps and projections, you can get very interesting results. So this was my first test previously, and I thought it was very successful actually. Scatter is off, depth is off. So this would be my basic crystal. This is now using dispersion Abbey of 62. And for all this to actually work, you would also need to adjust your IOR. So there are presets for sapphire and diamonds. So if you go up to diamond, you can see it's going pretty nuts on the refraction. So there's lots of bending of light going on, which is interesting. And so definitely something to check out. Okay. And yeah, well, dispersion Abbey takes a bit of hit of render time, so I always only introduce that at the end. This would be now with some speck on top, and this would be a pretty quick result. So this is now the diamond or the crystal with some ZBrush work, and let's just show you the other one. And this would be the same shader, but there is no edge breakup, and you can see it's like a day and night difference just by doing that. And I will always encourage you guys to do this, to break up the edges. I will show you how to do it procedurally, but I can tell you now it won't be as good as this, but it will be a lot better how to do it procedurally. So for the tutorial, it will be several parts, I guess. One is the basic setup, then I will just be concentrating on doing procedural edge breakups, similar what you can do in Substance Designer. And then I will do a bit, I will try to keep the sessions shorter. Hey Dusan, welcome to the channel. No worries. So I will be doing, I will be split up. I hope I can do actually 20-minute tutorials just to keep you guys more interested, because if I do like 1-hour tutorials, I miss lots of people because they don't have the time to watch it at full. Yeah, so I'll be definitely doing smaller portions. I try to make it maybe a 2-3 part tutorial, but it will be consisting of hopefully not more than 20 minutes. And if it becomes a longer series, I will call it a crystal series or something like that, and it will have several episodes. So just for you, it's easier for you to keep track of all that. So now is the time for Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions. I will be on the stream a bit more. I wanted to make a short, snappy stream, so I was showing a lot. So keep asking questions, and I will be just preparing a few more things. Yeah, and again, Dusan, I worked with Dusan quite a bit with Autodesk, and we created this nice little robot. So he's a very talented texture and look dev artist. So very cool to have him on here as well. So, okay, I'm not sure if the stream is still there. It feels like a bit of a lag here. We still have 42 people watching, which is interesting. Okay, question from a very long name. Do you have any future plan for product lighting and texture series? So product lighting is mostly softboxes. Sorry, just drinking a bit. Sorry about that. So for product lighting, depends. Like it shouldn't be too difficult to do a nice product setup, because for product setups they use most of the time a default light rig, default studio rigs. It's nothing too crazy. So it's mostly 3-point lighting, product lighting, and they have these product light tents, these kind of things, right? So if you can just, if you want to do a nice product setup, go on Google, search for how things are set up, and just replicate it in 3D. It's super easy. So you can see for most of the things, it's a really soft backdrop fall off. Then I have lights left and right. And you can just do the same thing in Arnold, right? Arnold is like a big photo studio. It's nothing other than that, actually. Especially nowadays where everything gets more and more physical. So that shouldn't be a big thing. And then there is I think it's called 3-point lighting, which is what I do in movies most of the time. And all these things are, I would say, pretty straightforward, because you have all the reference you need online, all the schema images, so you can just recreate it and get amazing looking renders like this, right? It's just key light from the front, then there's a rim from the left, and then there's a fill light from the bottom to fill in the shadows. That's mostly it, and this is how I do most of my product renders or whatever. Any plans for PR methods? Yeah, I get that a lot, unfortunately. Lots of my user bases are also PR man people, and they keep asking me if I do dedicated tutorials for PR man. With the new 22 release, it will be very tempting for me to maybe get something going there, because it's really fun to work with PR man. I work with PR man at work all the time, so I kind of know what I'm doing there. But I like Arnold just a bit better. It's just simple. It has not as many sliders and knobs to do it. It's a fast renderer. So and just because Arnold ships with Maya nowadays, it directly has a pretty big user base. So I'm trying to focus on that. And the cool thing about Arnold is it's working with most of the big DCC. So it's Houdini, it's Katana, it's Cinema, it's I'm sure I'm forgetting things. It's Maya for sure. And in my tutorials, I'm trying to do as much with the native Arnold nodes, so you can just easily replicate what I'm doing in any other DCC, because it's all the same, which is very nice. So it's only depending on the artist what toolbox they use to create their images, right? I feel there's a bit of a lag in the stream today. So are there any more questions regarding this? Happy to help a few more minutes. And for light shaders, I'm working actually on AOVs as well. Cryptomat, yeah, Cryptomat is a big time saver for sure. Like previously you had to do color mats, like create render passes and assign ID mats for everything, and now it's just Cryptomat and you're done with it, which is amazing. I agree, it's a big life changer. VDB shading, yeah, I need to get more in it. Like I'm not a FX artist, so I really not had to work with VDBs a lot, like especially on the shading side. There you can do quite advanced things, especially if you use the VDB properties to drive shaders. So I am not that familiar, and I don't want to do like a half-assed tutorial where I don't really know about things. So it's on my list for sure, but I still need to learn myself how to do it properly before presenting something. Yeah, so I guess there are not really questions coming up. So let's say 2 more minutes, 45, and I'll end the stream. So let's see what else is here. Stream view. I'm just checking. You can also, like, especially if there are some developers watching, especially for Android apps, please get in touch as well. So we might get a Android version out faster, hopefully. Hey Remy. Yeah, so this is the plan of things. So the next one will be the crystal series, which I will be start recording today. So I think the first tutorial will be out Saturday in a week, which will be part 1, and then every week there will be a new episode. So that's the kind of the plan for things. And then I will push in a few more. There will be updates coming to the surface shader. So I will be doing some shorter tutorials about the new features for the shader. Yeah. So I am not a Redshift user. I worked with Redshift a few times. When I use it, I felt it had quite a few limitations, especially on large scale scenes. So it works nice for products for sure. It's the best thing. I would recommend everything to do it. But for large scale scenes where you have lots of view dimps and all that, I find it very limiting for now. Arnold denoiser does work, yes. They have 2 denoisers. One is it's just called denoiser, I think. Well, one is called optics denoiser and the other one is noise. So they have 2. What does AOV control do? So AOV control does not work yet, unfortunately, but the plan is to have a nicer way of creating LPEs, light path expressions. So currently this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's not fully working yet. I will need to work with Haru to get something working better, I guess. It should just be an easier way to create LPEs, because if you want to do that, you need to like fill in all this stuff, right? You need to fill in. You can see now there it's grayed out, but there is this custom AOV light path expression. So all that stuff you would need to fill in manually, and I just want to automate this. I can't tell you anything about Arnold GPU, unfortunately. But it will be a nice addition for sure once it comes out. I'm sure about it. Okay, so I will thank you guys for tuning in. I will be now recording a few tutorials, and as I said, they will be released on Saturday next. So let's see what date it is. It will be the 4th of August with the first crystal tutorial. So thanks again for tuning in. It's a nice Saturday on my end, nice and sunny in Vancouver. And I guess where you from, mostly in Europe. I guess it's getting dark now, but it must be still warm. So there is a tutorial on denoising, actually, one of my most recent ones. Anyways, have a great day, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.